30 seconds. Hello, everybody out there. You're listening to Marcus C. Williams, and this is The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 FM, Rochester Free Radio. Thank you for tuning in. So if you guys are listening to us on Facebook or X or wherever you're listening to us on, maybe YouTube or wherever, please definitely like, subscribe, share, let people know that you love what we're doing, and let them know that they should subscribe and they should like and they should follow us and watch. Also, if you guys are listening to us on the 106.3 FM band, definitely let everybody know Mondays 2:30 to 4 p.m. listen to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on Rochester Free Radio. Let's jump into it. So we've got a ton of stuff going on all around the world, and I want to focus on what's going on across the world, but I want to bring it back home also and let you know what's really going on and how it's really affecting you and what's really happening as we go through this amazing event that is happening together in the time of our country in this present era. And you know, it's just very, very interesting. So let's hop right into it. Just last week, President Trump was I guess you say indicted, convicted, I guess convicted is the right way to say that, allegedly, right? Was convicted by a court in New York City of 34 charges, none of which anybody can name to you. Nobody knows what they are, right? I think that's a very, very large problem. When there are 34 charges and nobody knows exactly what the charges are, when you're talking to people in public and nobody knows, and many of the people are like, oh man, it's so awesome, I'm glad they got him on 34 counts. 34 counts of what? 34 counts of what? Somebody tell me, please tell me. I don't know, can you tell me? Somebody tell me. What? Well, they got him on the hush money stuff. What hush money? What hush money? What law does that violate? Which one? Well, what is it? Be clear. There's 34 of them, 34 counts. Please tell me what one of them is. And this is a very serious issue. It's not just an issue on the side of the people that love him, but also on the people of the side that don't love him. Nobody can tell you what these actual charges are, because the majority of these charges, unfortunately, are charges that have been for all, no puns intended, but they're trumped up charges. And I know a lot of people will say, well, Marcus, but I don't like Trump. Trump's a terrible person. And I'd say, well, maybe you don't like him. Maybe you really do believe that he's not a good person. But let's talk facts. While you don't believe that he's a good person, is he actually guilty of these charges? Well, he was convicted by a jury of his peers. Whose peers? His peers? What does his peer group look like? Because this man is a billionaire. There wasn't one billionaire on that jury. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about how the prosecution purposefully made it so that there were no black men on that jury? Can we talk about that? Why were there no black men? I thought everything was DEI, equality, and all of this equal justice nonsense. What happened with that? They completely eliminated all black men from being on the jury for Donald J. Trump. Why is that? Why is that? Explain it to me. See, this is what we need to have the conversations about. And I don't want to really focus this part on Trump, but I want to use this as a bigger picture on the criminal justice system. And you can't even really call it a justice system in New York State, because there are very clearly different tiers of justice for different people. But it's more than that. It's a complete corruption to the core of the criminal justice system when you see stuff like this going on. And I'll give you a great example, and I encourage you, go look up Dexter Taylor, go look Dexter Taylor up, and please check him out. So his case just happened a couple weeks ago in New York City, and this gentleman is sitting in Rikers Island right now. God bless his soul. Okay, may he be safe. May people donate to him and stuff like that, because this man is a good man. And Dexter Taylor had a court case. I'm going to briefly, we talked about this before on some other shows, and I don't want to go in depth into it today, but I just want to touch on it and relate it back to this particular case. So Dexter Taylor was charged with crimes associated with, allegedly, associated with machining his own firearms in his home, right? Now, that's not illegal. There's nothing illegal about that in New York State or in federal law. There's nothing illegal about that. Now, neither of the firearms were fired or really operable. So this was a whole nother part of the issue. But the real issue came in when he went to court. Because in court, the judge said that he can't bring up the Second Amendment in his case. That the Constitution does not matter in her courtroom. How can you say something like that and be a judge and you swore an oath to uphold the Constitution? Are you serious right now? This is the ridiculousness, and I'm doing my best not to use profanities because we are on the air, but this type of situation with Dexter Taylor gets me really into some feelings right there, because it's wrong. You mean to tell me that you as a judge who's supposed to serve to uphold the Constitution is going to say that the Constitution doesn't matter in your courtroom? You're going to say that he can't, they told him that he couldn't even mention the Second Amendment or they put him in jail. And if his lawyer did, they put the lawyer in jail. Are you serious? This is a Second Amendment case. How could you not be able to bring up the Second Amendment? Is it about firearms? You should be able to bring up the Second Amendment. You understand what I'm saying? See, this is the problem of the criminal justice system in New York State. Now, you might live in another state, you might live in New York State yourself, but one thing that we know across the country is the criminal justice system in America seems to have many different levels, and it does not try the people that have a lot of money the same way it charges people with not a lot of money. And it also tends to be that this is a socioeconomic situation, whereas people try to say, oh, well, it's whether somebody's black or white or whatever the case is, and there is some bias there. Let's not get it twisted. There is definitely some bias there, racial bias when it comes to different types of courts and prosecutions and stuff like that. But largely, the biggest discrepancy that we see is socioeconomic. Because, you know, we all know that the, what do you call them? The public defender isn't going to treat you the way that a regular lawyer would. And anybody that's dealt with a public defender already knows this. This is real serious. This is something that affects everybody in every scope of the criminal justice system, especially if you're in New York. But me as a conservative and us as people who largely are considered Republicans, and I know there's some Democrats and libertarians and independents, blanks and stuff that are listening, and people from other parties. But speaking as a conservative and as a Republican, I want to talk to the conservatives and Republicans for a second. A lot of people are very upset right now at what happened with Trump. They say that the public justice system, that the criminal justice system in New York State has not been fair to him. But we already knew that the criminal justice system has not been fair. Black people have been screaming that in this country for generations. When have the Republicans and the conservatives really addressed this, especially in New York State? It's been an issue that we know about, but it's not been an issue until it happened to Trump. Now, and you'll say, ooh, Marcus, you get them, or whatever the case is. No, that's not my point. My point is this is a much larger problem. And this goes for all parties all across America, okay? Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Socialist, Communist, whatever the other ones are, Green Party, all of that, okay? All of that. This goes for all of you. We have a serious problem in America where we don't see that it is an issue or it is a problem until it's something that is directly affecting us as an individual or our friends or our friends group, right? Like, why haven't we been systematically addressing the issues with the criminal justice system in New York State? We know there are unfair hearings. We know there are unfair trials. We know there are unfair jurists. We know there are unfair, and when I say the word fair, I mean in a legal sense, right? Because nothing is really fair. Really, there's nothing really that can be fair. But I mean in a legal sense, like, are they going by the rule and the letter of the law? You know? But we know that's not happening. And it's very, very serious. And it's something that we need to address. We should have been addressing it. I'm just kind of glad that this whole situation with Trump brought it to light for everyone. Now, can we have this conversation? No, we can't. And it's honestly, it's disgusting. So disgusting, it makes you want to spit. And here's the problem with that, right? Because we're not able to talk about it because it's only so focused on Trump. Now, I tell you this right now, if you are listening or watching this, okay, and you love Trump and you feel some type of way, don't feel some type of way. Focus on what I'm saying. Don't have a feeling, focus, because the next part is going to be very, very important, okay? If you don't like Trump and you're cheering on what I'm saying, focus on what I'm saying, because this part is very, very important. Let me get real close to the microphone so I can be real honest with you guys for 1 second. You guys, what is going on right now is a complete and total distraction from everything else that's going on inside our country. If you've been paying attention lately, there have been a number of different instances in which poultry farms and beef processing plants and beef farms have been destroyed, caught on fire, mysterious gas leaks and stuff like that. That's happening. We have an attack on our food system going on. Now you say, oh, well, Marcus, da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, I'm not trying to hear none of that. Okay, let's be honest. The number of coincidences is far too much. And if you're not familiar with what I am talking about, please go look it up. Okay, there was just a farm, I think less than a week ago, where it was 5 million chickens and it was a giant free range, right? Like free range, like everybody tries to be nicer to the animals, nicer to the environment, all that. A free range chicken farm. All 5 million chickens died. Terrible, terrible, terrible loss of chicken life. That could have been dinner on a plate. Okay, it's very, very serious. But more so than that, they're quelling tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of chickens a day, tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of beef cattle a day, because they're talking about get this, bird flu. The bird flu is affecting the cows, and now it's being transmitted from birds to cows to people. And now we know that this has never happened before, and this just so happens to come on the tail end of the United States admitting that it was working to enrich, and I'm using that word nicely, enrich and empower the ability of the avian flu to actually be more communicable with other species and interspecies. So we know that this has happened. You can go read it. This is not something that is a conspiracy theory. This is something that is a actual fact. Whether you want to call it a conspiracy or not, whether it's a conspiracy or a fact, it's a fact. It could be a conspiracy fact, whatever you want to call it, because it definitely is. And remember, conspiracy is a legal thing that you can be charged with in court. Conspiracy is illegal on the state level and on the federal level, just so you know. Okay, so they're really attacking our food sources right now, and it's not in the news that much. You can barely see it at all. So what's really going on? We're distracted with Trump, right? Well, that's going on, but that's not the only thing that's going on. And I'm still real close in the hair, and I'm whispering in your ear because I want you, honestly, to listen to me, and listen to me, good people. Please, I'm begging you, listen to what I'm saying, because it's important. We also have the fact that within the last week, the U.S. has authorized Ukraine to attack territories inside the border of Russia. Yeah, so that's happened. So that's fun, silly willy too, right? While we're all distracted with the Trump trial and everything like that, we've got the fact that we may be expanding the war in Europe, which is crazy because now I need to point this out for everybody that's listening. If you're not familiar with Russia's big issue with NATO, Russia tried to join NATO at least twice to my knowledge while Barack Obama was president, and Barack wouldn't let them join NATO. Now Putin wanted to join NATO because he saw China as a very large threat, the largest threat that we have ever faced as a species, as the human race goes. Now, if you ask me, that's warranted. I'll tell you all about China all day and how they've got their own plans for world domination. which is a real thing. They've got a real plan for world domination. Like, this is like the country has a plan for world domination. Like, that's a real thing. Like, not like a crazy thing that you see on the TV or in a movie or something like that. They have a real plan for world domination. And it's to start with economics, and it's to start with production of all production goods by 2035. And they're well on track to do this. They want to produce 30% of the goods in the world, because 30% of the goods in the world would mean that you have a lot of countries by the huevos. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really got them by the short and curlies. You can pretty much get them 30% of all manufacturing in the world. You can get people to pretty much do anything that you want, because their economies will depend on you. So, but when Putin asked Obama to become part of NATO, Obama laughed and thought that it was funny. It wasn't that he thought that it was funny. It's just that he knew that we were coming for Russia. And that is a problem, because the whole concept of coming for Russia is Western expansion of NATO. Now you'll say, oh, well, Marcus, I'm not trying to hear none of that. I'm not trying to hear none of that, because Russia's big concern was, if NATO continues to expand westward, and this was after after World War II, right? So that's when NATO was founded. If NATO continued to expand westward, that they would be right on the doorstep of Russia. Now, I know a lot of people don't know the history of Russia, but in brief, the majority of people in Russia live very, very close to the border, and the area very close to the border is a plateau. So that basically means anybody could just run ramshack right up in there, essentially. Which is why during the Cold War, you saw them have the Soviet satellite states, also known as the Iron Curtain, because that curtain was supposed to protect them from a direct attack on their territory, because you can launch a land invasion right into Russia if they do not have those. Now, it was also called the Warsaw Pact, but after the Cold War and stuff, they dissolved the Warsaw Pact, and many of those countries became their own independent entities. Some of them are still fighting within themselves internally today. Many of the countries are not even countries anymore and have broken up into smaller pieces, but that's neither here nor there. At the same time that was going on, NATO was supposed to cease expansion, and they were going to stop. And the concept of breaking up the satellite states and Russia agreeing to that was that NATO wouldn't expand any further. NATO lied, the U.S. lied, and it's funny because the U.S. had the wittiest comeback, the most American response ever when Russia questioned them on that one time, and this was before Obama, but when they questioned them on that, they said, hey, you guys continue to expand and you told us that you would stop. Why are you doing that? And the U.S. said, well, you didn't get it in writing, so it's not true. Now, everybody knew that it was true, but the fact of the matter is they didn't get it in writing. That is a fact. That's a true fact, and that's kind of crazy, but that's the way that we operate as a nation and as a country, and this is very serious. Now, this brings us closer to today, where they were never supposed to put armaments that would be able to concentrate and focus on Russia inside NATO. That is never the point of NATO. So now that they're giving arms to Ukraine, which was basically the red line that Russia had drawn decades ago, because they kept coming closer and closer and closer, not Ukraine, but NATO, kept adding more and more nations to NATO, closer and closer to Russia, that they were concerned about their own sovereignty, and rightfully so, because very clearly we're coming after them, right? Like, it's not an unknown unknown. We're definitely coming after them, you know. Eisenhower famously said, I believe it was Eisenhower, famously said that we should have kept going straight into Stalingrad and into Belgrade and into St. Petersburg, and right up into Russia. And we should have wiped those, as he said, commie bastards out. That's what he said. So we didn't, and then they assassinated him too. He died in a magical car accident, which is amazing and should definitely be worth conversation. But that catches us all up to where we are right now. And I give you that backstory because it's so important, because we're distracted by what's going on with Trump. Now the U.S. has allowed Ukraine to use all of these weapons that we have given them, advanced weapons, inside of Russia. But it's not just the U.S. So is France. So is Great Britain. They said that that's fine also. You know who said that it's not fine? Italy. Imagine that. Italy being the only one with any sense. Germany said that it's fine too. Italy's like, but we're not at war with Russia. Why would we allow our weapons to be used inside of Russia? We're not at war with them. So does that mean that the U.S. is at war with Russia? Hello? Somebody wake up. Are we at war with Russia? We're sending all this money and billions and billions and billions of dollars over there to Ukraine, and it doesn't seem to be getting to the people. Sadly, I was at an event the other day, and I wish I had the information on me because I'd share it with you. And a lady of Ukrainian descent, I'm not sure if she's exactly from Ukraine itself or she's just of Ukrainian descent, but she's out there talking about they have a fundraiser going on coming up in the next week or two to raise money to get medical equipment to send over to Ukraine. Now, hold on now. The U.S. just authorized another $1 billion to go over to Ukraine. Why do they need any of our money? They shouldn't need a lick of spit. Okay? This is for real. Why would Ukraine need any of our money? But it just goes to show you that the money is not actually getting to the Ukrainian people. No, it's not getting to the Ukrainian people. Maybe if you're wealthy. Now they're talking about, oh, well, in NATO, in NATO, they're trying to agree to a $43 billion package to give to Ukraine, and it's going to be paying their pensions and stuff and welfare and stuff like that. And the U.S. is putting billions into that. Billions into welfare and pensions? Our pensions are collapsing here at home. Okay? Our welfare system is collapsing here at home. It's overburdened because you let all these illegal aliens in that are now leeching off of this system and becoming a burden to the medical system and collapsing both. You know, and it's real. But we don't talk about that because we're all distracted by Trump. We're all so distracted by Trump. We're marching directly into World War III and everybody's distracted by Trump. It's crazy. Our food sources are very clearly under attack. Whoever you want to say is behind that, whether you want to say it's the government and the elites that are in charge, that are trying to control our food supply so that they can make it so that we are not able to have the muscle mass or the mental acuity to actually stand up against what the government is doing to us, or whether you think that it's a foreign entity that's doing it to us to, again, do the similar thing, but make it so that we can't fight against them, and it's part of a larger plan. Regardless, it's happening. These things are happening, okay? We're on the verge of World War III over here, okay, in Europe. We're on the verge of a war with China, okay, because we're not going to protect Taiwan, and China's going to be like all of South Asia, East Asia, both, East and South, right? East and South Asia are going to be China's. China's going to take them all. Nobody can stand up to China over there. You know, it would take them years to form a defense to stand up to them. So this is stuff that we need to actively talk about, but everybody's so distracted by Trump. And people are like, oh, well, the charges won't stick. It'll go to the Supreme Court. It'll do this. It'll do that. Oh, now let's talk about Hunter Biden and his gun charges because he smokes crack and all of this stuff and all of that. More distraction. People, will you wake up? Please wake up. It's all distraction. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's nothing but entertainment. And I'll tell you where we see this entertainment also with, what's her name? Caitlin, whatever her name is, the girl that plays the basketball. Her and Angel Reese, okay? Caitlin, I'm still not 100% sure that that's a woman because she looked like a man, okay? Like Miss Swan said, she looked like a man. I joke, but I'm serious. And we know that they like to let men play in women's sports, okay? And the jury is still out on that Brittany Griner dude, okay? So it's whatever, okay? Now, but the point is this. It's a distraction. It's all a distraction, okay? Because Caitlyn is up there fighting with all of these other players and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, she's racist. This is a black and a white thing. First of all, most of the players that are good at basketball are black. That's a fact. That's not racist. That's just a fact. It's period. Blacks tend to be more athletic than the majority of all other races in the world. That is a fact, okay? And basketball happens to be one sport that black people love because it is a low bar to entry to get into. So a lot of people played it when they were young. That and baseball, right? Even though the gloves do cost a little bit of money now more than ever, but and the bats too. But you used to be able to play stickball and stuff like that. But regardless, it's an easy game to get into, you know? And it's been popularized. It's become a cult, pop culture type of situation. So a lot of black people play it. So you look at females that play sports, a lot of black females that play sports play basketball because it's been popularized, especially if you go back to Love and Basketball, right? Like that was a big thing. Some of you guys know the movie Love and Basketball. But anyway, they're trying to make it about race when it's not, right? But all it does is it hypes up what's going on in the WNBA. I could care less about the WNBA, and I tell you in all my life, I've never seen so much press for the WNBA ever. Ever. That's all that this is. The same thing with most of the beefs going on in hip hop. All it is to drum up album sales and to drum up notoriety. That's all it is. It's distractions. It's bread and circuses, and in this case, they're trying to take the daggone bread from us. Please wake up. And when I say bread, I mean the meat, but you get what I'm saying. You know, give the people bread and circuses is the famous quote by Emperor Nero, and they'll be satisfied, you know. And that crazy coup burnt down all of Rome, you know. Well, not all of it, but whatever. And he was trying to sleep with his mom. Weirdo, okay? So these are really the signs of elites that are, megalomaniacal. However you say that word. You know what I'm talking about. Megalomaniacal individuals who really want to subjugate everybody, and y'all up here stuck on Trump. Y'all up here stuck on Hunter Biden. Okay, the criminal justice system is jacked up. Let's address that issue. Hello, please. Can we talk about that? Not just the Trump situation, because we got a ton of other cases that have happened in New York State that we could actually tag on to that to actually get addressed. But we're not going to address that because nobody really wants to address that because nobody really cares. And at the end of the day, like Trump said, it's not about him. They're coming for all of the people. He's just in the way. But people forget that he said that. My man told the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Okay? And if you sit and you listen to Biden long enough, sometimes he comes out and tells the truth too. Okay? Because sometimes his handlers let him go and just talk and talk and talk, and he'll talk about crazy stuff. You know, Biden warned us about the onset of dementia that everybody was going to have in our country, and it's happening now. Dementia's up 400 or 4,000%. It doesn't matter. It's like 4,000% overall, but it's up like 400% in the last 2 years in the ages between 18 and I believe 35. It might be 34. So it's crazy. It's just insane. It's just insane what's going on in our country. And people are not paying attention. They are not putting together what's going on, that we are all being railroaded and distracted. And I want to remind you guys, you are listening to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. If you're listening to us on X, or you're listening to us on Rumble or Facebook or wherever you are, YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. And that'll help bring more people here. And if you guys want to advertise, if you want to sponsor an episode, or if you want to sponsor a few episodes or be a continuous sponsor, definitely reach out. You know, I'm not hard to get. Okay, reach out. Now, let's get back into it. We've got so much distraction going on with this dog and pony show that is the Trump-Biden election, that people are missing much bigger things that are happening in our country. They've completely wiped away the conversation about the illegal aliens in the news because of this, right? That's a big thing that's on. But more so than that, can we talk about these anti-American criminal jihadists that are popping up everywhere, taking territory in our country, okay, doing these crazy marches that they don't have any permits for in the street right here in Rochester where I live? They were out here in the street over the weekend. I wish I knew that they were out there, man. I tell you what, I can't stand those anti-American jihadist terrorists. I don't mess with them. Okay, they get in our streets and they chant death to America, and they chant no solution but an intifada revolution, talking about they're going to overthrow my government in favor of a foreign interest while flying a foreign flag. You declare war on my country and my people, talking about you want death to America? I'm American, okay? I'm a black American, and my people have been here since before this place was a country. You want the death of my family, of my people, of the American citizens, of my countrymen, and you got the daggone nerve to walk and march in the street advocating for that? You have declared war on every single American, and you should be treated as such. Our elected officials allow this to go on far too long. Our elected officials do nothing. These anti-American terrorists that seek to overthrow and disrupt our daily lives, that go into our city councils, that go into our county ledges, disrupting all types of stuff, talking about free Gaza, free Palestine, this, that, and the third, okay? That's not the level of government that they need to do that at. That's the federal government, and realistically, that's the UN. But they know better. They know what they're doing is not what it's supposed to be, because they just feel like they want to do whatever they can in which they can have highly aggressive actions and they can get away with them. These are the same people that we saw that were the BLM protesters, that were the Antifa protesters, that were burning down black businesses and destroying black neighborhoods. These are the same people that we have seen just this year desecrate World War II monuments, desecrate World War I monuments, desecrate veterans, other veterans' monuments, taking down the American flag and raising the flag of a foreign adversary. And our elected officials do nothing. They kowtow to these individuals, and they grow in power and numbers every day. Where are the good Americans to stand up? Where are you, America? Why do you not stand up? It is time for us as Americans to stand up and say that we will take this no more. We must stand. Our elected officials do nothing. We must demand action against these anti-American jihad terrorists from our elected officials. We must do it today. You need to be emailing your elected officials. You need to be visiting them at their offices. You need to be making phone calls. This is serious, and nothing will change. It will only get worse. They are only growing more emboldened every single day because they see that they are not being held in jail, that nothing serious is happening to them, and they can get away with even taking over territory and saying that it is an autonomous zone inside the United States of America, declaring that they are separatists from the country of the United States of America, and they can get away with it. Well, they shan't, and you shall not let them. You must stand, and it is not about political party. It is not whether you are Democrat. It is not whether you are Republican. It is not whether you are independent. It is about if you are an American citizen, there is no reason why you should be standing for this. And you shouldn't sit for it either. We, as Americans, have become far too complacent and far too divided, and that's what they want. That's why they're capitalizing on these things with Trump and these things with Biden, whether it be President Biden or Hunter Biden, because they want us divided so we can't see the insertion of evil amongst us to disrupt us, because they are working at segmenting us because they know that we are weak together. In Abraham Lincoln's famous statement, he said, "A house divided cannot stand." Will you stand? It is time to stand. It is time to get active. If we do not now, then there will be no time in the future too. These people, these monsters, these anti-American terrorist jihadists that are anti-Christian, that are I guess you would say Jewish, right? Okay? They are anti-American, anti-Christian, and anti-Jewish. They want nothing more than to destroy our nation and burn it asunder. They are nothing more than anarchists that are clearing the way for those that are in power to gain more power, and they are being used by foreign adversaries to destroy and divide our country. And if we do not stand up right now, not later, I mean right now, and engage with our elected officials and demand that they start taking action against these individuals, things will get worse. And on top of that, these individuals will be used for them to usher in even further security measures that erase our privacies, restrict our firearm ownership, and eliminate where we can travel and move to freely. Many of you are already seeing it. We have seen it here in my city of Rochester. The county just spent $20,000 or $200,000 on this new security apparatus with all of these cameras and stuff, and all of these additional partitions and extra security and all of this other nonsense. Because of these anti-American terrorists, and they do nothing. They do nothing to stop them. They do not put them in jail. What they are doing is illegal. And all of the elected representatives that are allowing them to do this are essentially treasonous against the American people and the American Constitution. It's real serious, people. And it's time that we get ready and stand up. There is no time like now. There will be no later. And again, this is not about whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat or you're whatever. If you are an American citizen, you need to recognize what is going on. Most of these people are so daft that they have no clue what's actually going on inside their own movements with these so-called pro-Palestine thingy groups that they're in, or whatever the case is, with these so-called socialist groups and stuff that they're in, or whatever you call it. People, this is ever so serious, and this will be used as a way to take away more of your rights and freedoms, and that's why I encourage you to stand up, speak up, and don't shut up, and take action right now. Not later, right now. If you are listening to this show right now, as soon as this show ends, you need to be emailing your local elected officials. You need to be calling on the telephone. You need to be setting up appointments. You need to be going to visit them in their office, and you need to be sharing your concerns with them about this very severe issue. They continue to strip away more and more of our privacy every day. They continue to strip away more and more of our Second Amendment rights every day. They continue to strip more and more of your individual liberties and sovereignty away every single day. And they're using these anti-American jihadists to do it. Now, pardon me if I feel a little bit of some type of a way, but you got to get mad at some point. You got to get angry. And you got to say, I'm not going to take it anymore. Enough is enough. Okay? This is too much. It's absolutely abhorrent what is going on presently. It's so disgusting it makes you want to spit. You guys, and I tell you this in good faith, all of you. If we as the American citizen and the American populace do not get active and move against these anti-American jihadists, they will later on during this year, and you watch me, you mark my word, you write this down, write that I said this down, record it, whatever you want, you mark my word, that they will reach an explosive point in our nation this year before the elections. Before the elections. Okay? So they must be stopped now. We must prevent it from happening. It's very, very, very serious. In addition to that, we also have to be concerned about these illegal aliens that they have coming in here that are completely I guess you would say, I want to say subservient, but that's not quite the actual word that I'm looking for. I guess you would say, but we can use that, right? They're basically essentially in servitude to those who are in power, to whoever is giving them a check or whatever so that they can have money to live by, essentially, these illegal aliens. Now they're trying to make some of them citizens just so that they can vote, in this election, and that's crazy. And that's why they're fighting so diligently against voter ID. Now, I'm a black man, and they'll tell you that black people can't get an ID, but an ID is like $15 if you go down. Maybe it's a $20 bill now. But in all the states that have voter ID, you don't even actually need money to get a voter ID. They have a special form you can fill out, so they'll actually mail you a voter ID for free. So this is very serious. We need to pay attention to what's going on. We need to get voter registration together for people that have more conservative values and Republican values. But more than anything, we are going to need voter ID this year. You'll hear people later on, if this doesn't happen or whatever goes on, say, oh, this was an issue, that was an issue, whatever. No, at the end of the day, it's voter ID. Voter ID is the way that we deter anything that could be any issues with, if you want to say cheating, if you want to say ballot rigging, if you want to say any of that. That is how we can work to make sure that those are not problems. But if we don't start now, it's not going to happen. We've only got 42 days maybe left until the election, but that doesn't even include early voting. So we really have to get on this, people. I encourage you, take note, listen, get active, and engage with your elected officials. We must, because if we don't, nobody else will. This is serious, and this isn't a Democrat or a Republican thing. And I encourage any Democrats listening to this to understand, listen, you might be happy with things that are happening that is so-called against the Republicans right now, but you wouldn't be happy if the same thing happened to you. And you see it happening and you're not speaking up. As a matter of fact, many of you are cheering it on. Many of you are cheering it on. These people are your countrymen. They're your neighbors. And you're cheering it on. What's happening? But if the same things happen to you, it will be a serious problem. So you really have to ask yourself, are you ready for that? And do you really think that the people at the top of the Democratic Party actually care about you as a lowly Democrat? That's an individual that's part of this country. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. They care about themselves. They care about their bank accounts. They care about raising their status. They care about protecting themselves. That's why they got all these bunkers and secretive places where they can protect themselves in case of a nuclear war, or in case of a terrorist attack, or in case of a massive blackout. All of these things are very possible this year. And you keep seeing on the news that more and more of them are having more of these shelters. And these are all Democrats that I'm talking about, people. So if you're a Democrat, you have to really ask yourself, are they about actually caring about you as an individual? Now, and I take this as a good example. The Working Families Party. Okay, I know some of my friends and people out there that are listening might be working families. But here's my thing with the Working Families Party, right? I have never heard them say, end the Fed. Now, if you don't know what the Federal Reserve is, go look it up. It's not actually part of the federal government. But if you're mad because inflation's going sky high, those are the people that are the main reason for it, okay? But I've never heard them say, end the Fed, okay? I've never heard them say abolish income tax, right? Right, people? Right? Have you heard them say abolish income tax? No, because they've never said it, and they refuse. I keep asking them to, but they refuse. If they really cared about working families, come on now, people. If they really cared, they'd actually be doing something to help working families, but they don't care. And the other day I was listening to them, and they're out there talking about these illegal aliens, bro. Illegal aliens? You're supposed to be for working American families, and you're out here talking about illegal aliens? Illegal aliens? You're talking about Palestine and Gaza? You're supposed to be for the working families? Working families are having difficulty putting food on the table for their family. Working families are struggling to make their rent payments and their mortgage payments. Working families are having trouble paying for transportation. Working families are having difficulty in this country. In this country, the people you are supposed to be representing, calling yourself the Working Families Party, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get back right. And people will say, well, Marcus, they've always been like socialists, whatever the case. I don't care. That's besides the point. They're supposed to be representing American citizens. They call themselves the Working Families Party. They better dang on sure representing the working families, which is what exactly they're not doing right now. So disgusting, it makes you want to spit. But I digress. With all of those things that we've talked about so far, we've still got a considerable amount of stuff yet to talk about. But I encourage you, if you guys are listening to us on whether it's YouTube, whether it's Rumble, X, Facebook, or wherever you're listening to us on, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so that other people can get this quality content that we are producing, so that you can get the word out, so that they can hear what's going on, so that they can make a choice for themselves and a decision for themselves, so that they're more understanding of what's actually going on. Because we know they want to divide our country, but we must do our best to fight against it. I believe in you. You matter to me. And I encourage you. Like and share this so that more people can hear. And if you're listening to us on the radio, make sure you tell them to tune in to WRFZ 106.3 every Monday, 2:30 to 4, and catch us on the radio. But please, if you want to donate, or if you want to, and this is what I really would like, if you guys want to actually support the show by either donating or by actually sponsoring the show, please reach out to me and we'll make that happen. Now, as we go into a couple of other things that are very, very important, I'd like to talk to you guys about local elections. What's going on with local elections, right? Well, did you forget there were local elections this year? Yeah, there are local elections this year. Everybody's got you so distracted on the Trump issue and the Hunter Biden issue and the Joe Biden issue and the rest of the stuff going on in the world and all the craziness that we haven't even been able to focus on local elections. We need to be focusing right now on local elections. This year in New York State, our state assembly and our state senators, every single position is up. Every single position is up, including our House of Representatives seat is up. So these are some of the biggest voices that make the laws and push for the laws and the policies, including the budget, for our state. The state senate is the people who make the judicial appointments and the appointments to other different parts of the government and stuff like that. And we need good people in there. But everybody's so distracted by the Trump-Joe Biden thing that I'm sure a lot of people aren't even going to vote in the local elections. They'll go out, they'll vote for president, and that's it. They'll leave the rest of the ballot blank. So I encourage you to get out and figure out what's going on in your local elections. Find a candidate that you like or you can support, and donate to their campaign or volunteer for their campaign so that you can help them out, so that you can get a better person in office. If we're not getting better people in office on the local level, especially on our state levels where they make the laws for the state, where they do the budget for the state, then we're going to lose out on everything. So we really, really, really have to actually get active this election cycle. Like I said, it's only 141 days left, and that's not even including early voting. If you include early voting, it's only like 28 days, something like that, you know? So we really need to get on the ball, and we need to get out helping campaigns and helping different people and volunteering for different campaigns. Matter of fact, if you live in Rochester or the surrounding area, I'm running for state assembly. Donate to my campaign. Volunteer for my campaign. Go to my website, Marcus4Rochester.com. That's Marcus, the digit 4, Rochester.com, and donate or volunteer. Because we've got to change what's going on local, okay? I'll tell you this, if you're listening outside of Rochester, Monroe County area, I'll tell you this, these are some of our biggest issues here. You know, the taxes are out of control, just completely out of control, and they don't want to bring them down. I want to lower taxes, and I want to abolish the state income tax, okay? There are already multiple states that have no state income tax, and we need to lower the state income tax. Would I like to also make the taxes for people over 65 that own property, as far as their main residency, not have to pay property tax on that main residency? Absolutely. Okay, but one fight at a time. Okay, I'd like to lower all types of other taxes that they got on you. They just raised the tax on the fuel tax on the gas. Then they just raised the tax on the gas and electric for your home. Okay, this is like real, and I laugh to keep from crying, but it's very, very real. The prices of food are going up because of the regulations that are being put on by the state and the federal level. This is really real, and it needs to stop. You know, the school system here is crumbling. It's the worst school system that we have in the country. The third worst school system, excuse me. You know, third worst. Ooh. But it's really real, you know. And in my territory also is the town of Gates, which has a better level of school district, but they're sharply depreciating too. I'm glad to see that there are so many people getting active in the school board and in the school now in Gates too. That's very encouraging that they're going to be able to turn around the ship that they're on over there, you know. So it's there are encouraging bright spots that are out there. But if you guys want to pitch in or donate to my campaign, go to marcus4rochester.com. That's MARCUS, the number 4, Rochester, ROCHESTER.com. Okay, so moving forward, bro, these local elections are so serious. I was listening to I don't even know what you would call them, I guess a radio personality earlier today, talking about, oh, well, Republicans in New York State in deep blue districts shouldn't even bother. Shouldn't even bother? Who the heck are you? You just were like, oh, well, the force is so innumerable, we might as well not fight. You know, but we've got a lot of strength. We should always fight regardless. We should fight to the last man, to the last person, to the last stand. If you're a Republican or you're conservative and you're listening to this, don't you dare give up. Don't you dare. Okay? We know that got real passion real quick. A lot of words went through my head at one time. We know that if we stand up and fight with the revolutionary spirit that we have been given by our forefathers and the people that are the founders of this country, that we can persevere through this and that we can overcome all of the numbered disadvantages, because it's about who's going to show up and who's going to come out. If we get every Republican out in our county over here, we'll win regardless. If we get 75% of the Republicans to show up to the polls, we'll win regardless. Okay? But we got to show up and we got to show out. We got to go, we got to vote, we got to take other people to vote, we got to get lots of people to go out and vote this year. I highly believe that nobody's coming out to vote. People are like, oh, it's a presidential election year, a lot of people coming out, and nobody coming out. Nobody coming out. A lot of people don't like Trump, a lot of people don't like Biden, a lot of people don't have a reason to vote for either, a lot of people not coming out. If we break 35% in the county of Monroe where I live, that would be an amazing thing. And I don't think that that's happening. I have no real reason to believe that. As a matter of fact, as the aforementioned things that I mentioned earlier in the first part of this show, I have a real reason to believe that they're going to make it more difficult than ever to actually get out. So you're going to have to vote early, okay? What do they say? Vote early, vote often? I laugh and I joke. Vote every time that it's your time to vote, okay? But in the general election, I want to remind you that if you are a Republican or a Democrat, you do not have to vote for the person in your party. You can vote for whatever best candidate that you see fit, no matter what line they're on in the general election. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that. And that's another thing that we need to address, is the lack of civics education, especially in New York State. That's very, very, very serious. Very serious. Now, we've had a lot of issues going on locally. So I want to jump into some of them locally real quick. But before I even start, the whole thing is so disgusting it makes you want to spit. Now, we've had about 5 or 6 stabbings over the weekend. Now, I know I talked about the stabbings a couple weeks ago on the show, but the crime is out of control. Why is the crime out of control? Matter of fact, somebody was shot last night. They said it was a domestic dispute where the lady shot the guy, or whatever the case is. But we're seeing more and more violence as the first case scenario instead of the last case scenario. So what's happening is people are normalizing the crime and violence, so people think that it's okay. The number of cars that have been stolen is out of control. The number of people that have been carjacked is out of control. The number of rapes is out of control. The numbers of larcenies and thefts are out of control. The number of home invasions are out of control. You know, this is stuff that's very serious that we need to address. and we need to get active on. But elected officials say and do nothing. And maybe occasionally they'll come out and they'll play in your face and come for a photo op and they'll say, oh, ha, ha, hee, hee, hee. But they don't really do anything. They don't pass any legislation. And it's a problem. And I need you guys to understand and remember that you don't have to vote for the person that is in your party. You can vote for another party. That was one of the other things that the other radio personality said today. Well, it's mostly Democrats here, so everything's decided in the primary. Well, geez, if you have that type of attitude, of course that's what's going to happen, because you just basically told everybody else, don't come out to go vote. Don't come out to go vote. Because he's talking about, oh, well, the numbers are outweighted. So what if the numbers are outweighted? You're saying that people are stupid? If that's what you really think, that people don't know that they can vote a different way, that you should be hyping them up to understand that they can vote another way? No. You know, these type of individuals, man, it makes you question where their real true intent is. And he calls himself a conservative, calls himself a Republican, whatever the case is. And I'm not saying that to attack him or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is, while I love the dude, I mean, this is jacked up, right? You saying something like that is going to depress turnout. Isn't that called election interference? Isn't that what that guy got charged for that made that meme of Hillary Clinton? Shouldn't he also get charged for that? I'm not saying that he should get charged for that, but I'm saying maybe he should get charged for that. Depressing the vote. Is that real? How could he get on the air and say that? That's so disrespectful. Yo, I can't even, because I got a lot more stuff to say about it, and it gets a little bit personal. So I'm going to leave it alone. But the fact of the matter is, anybody, everywhere, no matter what your flavor is, you should be encouraging people to get out to vote, especially in the general election, especially for the good candidates that are out there. And when you favor one candidate over the other because you're saying, oh, well, we have to choose the lesser of the two evils, you're evil. You're evil. Don't choose either of the lesser of the two evils. Choose a person that's not evil. Oh, you think that they're not going to win? Well, they'll win if everybody doesn't choose the lesser of the two evils. Are you stupid? Like, are we being real right now? You think that people should decide between evil and eviler? That's the choices that they should have when they've got another viable person that they can vote for, but you would say that they should choose for the less evil because of everything's decided in the primary? So that means in the general election, we can just nix the general election and just never have one. Listen to how you sound. What type of a patriot, what type of a conservative, what type of a constitutionalist are you supposed to be? Really? And I ask you this because it's frustrating. Because I hear too many people out there say, oh, my vote doesn't matter, my vote doesn't matter. Let me tell you something. Last time I ran 2020, right? We're outweighted like about 6-1, right? We're outweighted about 6-1 Democrat to Republican where I live. Now, here's an amazing thing. In my district, even though we're outweighed 6-1, I got 1/3 of the vote in the time where it was only 2 candidates the whole time, and one was a sitting official. But I got 1/3 of the vote in a place where I should have 1/6 of the vote. So that is a tremendous accomplishment. And if you would encourage more people to go out there and vote right, instead of choosing just to vote in the primary, then maybe better candidates could win. We had a very good candidate that I know last year that ran for, the year before last, that ran for the Congress, right? Laron Singletary. He ran for Congress, and he's a very good candidate. I like him a lot. I might be a little partial to him because I know him for years, but he's a good dude, like solid, okay? But he ran and he lost by a couple thousand votes. Now, his territory is way bigger than mine. So his territory is way, 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 way bigger. So I got about 8,000, 9,000 votes last time I ran, compared to about 1,600 votes for the person on the other side, which has 6 times the enrollment, but didn't get 6 times the vote. So that is an amazing feat, which means that even though I'm a Republican and conservative, that Democrats would have had to have voted for me as well. So that's an amazing thing. Now, for him though, the biggest thing that we had on election night was the election counting suddenly stopped. boop, the election counting stopped. They were counting ballots, the numbers were reporting, and then they boop, everything went black. No more numbers being reported. We have to wait till the next morning to see who won because they stopped reporting the numbers. Why would they do that? Why did they do that? What happened? What really happened? Nobody knows. They say that it was an error with data transmission because they were trying to transmit too much data at one point. And I said, well, how much data was being transported? They said they don't know. Well, then how can you make a judgment saying that it is a throughput issue if that is the case? They don't have any of these answers because they're just telling us something that sounds good. The question is really what happened during that election cycle, and I'll tell you, there was some manigling going on there, and I'm sure it was in our 5 black districts that they have in Rochester that they call, there's a whole backstory on the 5 black districts if you're listening and you're not local. There was a whole fight. They wanted these 5 black districts. Other people didn't want it. The Republicans were for it. And the Republicans didn't even come out publicly and say that they wanted these 5 black districts, which was also a detriment to us. Because why would you not say that? Me as a black person and more black people that might want to lean conservative or switch over, why would you not say that you are pushing for this type of a thing? So yes, I do feel a little bit of some type of way about my party locally for not owning that. Okay, whether I like it or not, I didn't like the idea. I thought the concept was absolutely atrocious for various reasons that I'm not going on to on this broadcast, but it had nothing to do with race, but it had completely to do with segmentation and the way that it was done, okay, and who it was to favor, because there are certain people in the Democrat elite over here, and they've got these fractions, and they're fighting, and the question is who would it really benefit, because basically the Republicans are like, whatever's clever with the city, let the Democrats do what they do. We need to be standing up. We as conservatives and Republicans need to be taking back these so-called Democrat strongholds. They weren't always that way. They got that way because people gave up. People were like, oh, let them go, let them go, let them go, let them go. And now we're way outnumbered. No, hell no. Excuse me. Heavens no. Absolutely not. We're going to fight to the last man. Everybody take a stand. Come on now, get out and vote. We're not going to do that. Just give up, roll over. Okay? They trying to bend us over with no grease, and you just like, take it. Just take it. Absolutely not. Not without my consent. I do not consent. I refuse. Okay? Absolutely not. You guys, I love you all. I really, really love you all. And if you guys are listening to this, please make sure that you vote, you engage with a candidate this year, you get out, you help a candidate, do some door knocking, do some phone calling, whatever you can do. Donate a couple of bucks, even if it's just $5-10. Donate some money. If it's more than that, definitely donate it. Okay, go out and volunteer with a good candidate, because we need to turn our country around. But it's going to start at home. It's going to start with these local elections. It's going to start with our state level elections. We got the state assembly and the state senate up here. We got governors up in other states. We got senate and assembly up in other states too. People, we got to be out there helping these candidates that are good candidates, that have our values, instead of sitting on our laurels just saying, oh, something will happen, or maybe God will come down out the sky. Nobody is coming to save us. We are the ones to stand. We must stand in the gap. The Lord is called and said, who shall go for me? I will. Send me. Will you go? We must stand and we must fight against all of this evil that is pervading our land. We must get active, and we must take aim at all of these different elections that are going insane. We've got to get right, or we will always be left behind. And I say that with all concern, all real legitimate concern, that not enough people are going to get active this year. So please, I encourage you, I humble myself before you. Get out, engage, get out, volunteer, go donate, get involved with the candidate's campaign, do whatever you can. And if you're local to the Monroe County area, definitely go to my website, Marcus4, rochester.com. That's Marcus, the number 4, the digit 4. Okay, rochester.com. Because you guys, this is a big fight. This is serious. if we don't change what's going on in many of our states across the nation right now this year by changing the people who are empowered on our local level that put the laws into place, it's going to get worse. Where I live, the food costs are out of control because of the regulation from these people. The energy costs are out of control because of the regulation and the laws that are being passed by these people and the budgetary things that are being passed by these people. It's crazy. And that's not even half of it, right? Like, there's more to do with the crime and to do with the education system. Like, all of this is very, very, very serious. Not to mention the lack of opportunities and the lack of housing. It's just, and they're like, oh, we're building more affordable housing. We're building more affordable housing. That's Kathy Hochul, right? She got on the news today talking about, oh, we're building more affordable housing in Buffalo. How much? How much affordable housing? We need a few million units. And how much are you actually building? Now, the better question is, why do we need all of these units, right? Where are these people coming from that you're going to put in those units? Why can't they stay where they're living right now? How much is each one of these units costing us now comparative to each person that could actually be in home ownership that you could have bought a house to actually have them move into for the price that you're paying to actually offset the cost of these construction items? Don't get me really going, because when we start talking about housing, that's something that I'm very, 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 very passionate about. Okay? It's so disgusting, makes you want to spit. It's really, really, really missing the mark when it comes to what's going on with our local elections. We have to stand up, speak up, don't shut up, and take action. We really do. More than ever now. I look at places like North Carolina and Mark Robinson down there running for governor. Love Mark Robinson. I look at places like, Virginia with Winsome Sears. Oh my goodness, I love Winsome Sears, okay? I look at places like Texas. They've got great people there. He's not in office right now. I don't know if he won the chairman of the GOP committee for the state down there, but Allen West, okay? We got great people all across this nation that are really standing up and working on fighting back, okay, against all of the insanity that's going on. But here at home, wherever you are, if you're here where I am, or if you're out there in the world somewhere else, it's time to stand up, and it's time to take action. Now, before we leave off, I want to go back over to the Russia-Ukraine thing, and then I want to touch on the Israel thing real quick. So, we've got this whole situation with Russia and Ukraine. Now they're launching all of these advanced weapons inside of Russia. If you think that Russia's just going to roll over and allow that to happen, you're sadly mistaken. Now, that's either going to ramp up acceleration of warfare in Ukraine, and Lord forbid that they'll try to say, oh, that's the reason for us to start putting troops in Ukraine, or it might end up just leading to a nuclear war or an intercontinental war. So that's real serious, okay? Because if stuff really does get bigger and really break out with Russia, Russia's not going to play that stuff, okay? And you can take Russia for a sucker if you want to, okay? They might not win in the overall war between the U.S. and NATO and Russia, but they will do so much damage. They will do so much damage they might have well had. They might have well had. It won't be worth it. So we need to avoid that at all costs. But our elected officials don't seem to give a golly gosh about that. It's bad. Now, hopping over to the fact that, no, matter of fact, let's stay there for a second. Now, if we do go to a wartime situation, we're going to end up having to send our troops over there. Then we'll send our troops over there, and then who's protecting the homeland from the Chinese or from these illegal aliens that many of them are terrorists that are now inside our own borders, right? That's something to think about. That's something seriously to think about. And that doesn't even include China and what's going on in Taiwan if we end up having to get engaged over there to help protect Japan, which we're obligated to protect Japan, or we have to do something with the Philippines or something else over there in that area. Because if China goes after Taiwan, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. They'll probably, if it was me and I was China, I'd go after Taiwan, solidify Taiwan, take about 6 months there. I'd move over then into, let's see, from Taiwan, probably probably I'd consolidate my interests in Southeast Asia. So probably get Vietnam next, like that, and maybe a couple of other countries right over there. So this is very serious and very precarious, and we really have to soup up a lot of stuff that we've got militarily wise, because it's not finished out. Our army is too small. Our navy is too small. We don't have enough boats. We don't have enough planes for the Air Force. We don't have enough bullets. We don't have enough missiles if we're to get into another serious incursion. So this is real live stuff, and we don't talk about it, but it needs to be talked about. Then we've got Gaza, right? We got the military over there building them platforms and stuff like that. What are you doing? I don't want you to do that. What are you doing? Stop it. Stop it. Our people, first of all, we ain't got no business over there to begin with. That's number one. We need to stay, the U.S. needs to stay out of sand countries, and the people from the sand countries need to stay in them. Okay? That's it. That's my word on that. They don't like us, so therefore, I reserve the right not to mess with or not to like anybody that don't like me. I reserve that right. Anybody that mess with me, I mess with you. I like you, you know. But they openly don't like us. They hate us. Okay, so we need to be very aware of that and what's going on. Additionally to that, now I don't care how you feel about Israel or how you feel about Gaza. I don't care. That's on you, right? But the fact of the matter is that Israel's going to take over all of that. It's going to take over all of that, and you're not going to stop it, regardless. Okay? It's not happening. And then we've got these individuals, unique individuals over here in the U.S. talking about free Palestine. You don't even know what's going on over there. Okay, you don't even know what's going on over there. What territories do you want to be? From the river to the sea. What river? What sea? What are you talking about? Do you even know? You don't know. You don't know what's going on over there. You're just trying to be over here acting the raw right. So going back to what's going on over there, explain to me why none of the Muslim countries over there want any of these people from this area. None of them want them. Explain it to me. Why don't they want them? Must be some reason. We just gave Egypt $15 million for some of their people to go to college in our budget. You made that make sense to me. Now, how come Egypt can't take them? Okay. Jordan don't want them. Nobody wants them. Pakistan don't want them. None of them countries want them. None of them Muslim countries over there want them. Also, all of those countries over there Syria don't want them. All those countries over there used to be Christian countries. Okay? Used to be Christian countries, and then Islam took them over. And now it's all deserts and disease. Makes you really ask questions. Okay? But none of them countries want them. Yemen don't want them. Why Yemen don't want them? Don't Yemen support them? Why Yemen don't want them? Iran don't want them. Why Iran don't want them? Iran supports them. Come on, we're not being serious right now. UAE don't want them. They support them. Why don't they want them? Come on, people. We have to be more wise about what's going on. Okay? Because now they're talking about Canada's going to take like, I don't remember what the number is, but like 10,000 or something of the people from over there or whatever. And I'm like, the U.S. better not. We got a big enough crisis as it is over here. Plus, again, those people don't like us. They don't like us. They don't like Americans, and they daggone sure don't like black people or Christians. Okay? And we can't even talk about the Christians that are over in Gaza that are getting blown up or destroyed or anything like that, because they'll have you believe that there ain't no Christians over there, but we can't talk about that. Why can't we talk about that? Well, shoot. Listen. It's so disgusting it makes you want to spit. You guys, here's my big thing. Right now, we've talked a lot about a lot of stuff going on all across the world. But I want to bring it back home. I want to bring it back stateside. I want to bring it back to your local municipality. I want to bring it back to your local county, to your local state level government. And here's my message to you. Now is the time to take action. We've got the illegal aliens that are a very serious problem because we do not have the resources for them. They are overburdening our healthcare system. They are overburdening our social welfare system. And this is all honestly by design. We need to stand up against that. We've got these anti-American, pro-Palestinian people that want the death of our country and our countrymen. They want to overthrow our government for foreign interests. We need to address those issues. It's very, 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 very serious. And it must be dealt with immediately, with immediacy. They're coming after our food supply. The prices of food are going up sky high. If you look at the back of a bag or the back of a box nowadays, you're liable to see it say bioengineered ingredient or something like that. Go look it up. Go check your cabinet right now. Right now, as we're talking, go check your cabinet and go see what you have in there that says bioengineered, okay, on the back of it, or genetically modified. Okay, they've really been switching from genetically modified to bioengineered as a new phrase because it sounds better, they say. We have to stand up. What's happening is the people at the top are attempting to consolidate power through any means possible. Largely, this is by forcing more control and constriction on the food that is getting out into society. That's number one. Number two, it's sowing all types of division in our nation to keep us divided so that we don't come together and tip the whole teapot over and pour them all out, which is really what really needs to happen, but that's a separate conversation. Okay? We have to 100% see what is going on and understand that it is on the local level where we can effectuate change, where we can make a real difference, where we can actually be the change that we want to see. If there's nobody in your area that's running for office that you like, maybe you need to run for office. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're the person to run for office. I don't know. I can't tell you. Pray to the Lord and find out what it is. Find out what it is. Because we now more than ever need good people to actually start getting active. And it's not about whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or whatever the case is. Good people, good people. You know who you are. If I say that you're good people, if you are not a good person, you automatically feel some sort of stagnation inside yourself when I say good people. Okay? We need people to stand up. And we need people to lead the charge. I'm doing all that I can myself. I'm running for office here locally. I'm doing this show so I can inform you better. I do various videos and stuff on the internet and stuff like that. I'm doing matter of fact, I'm doing a crime and violence seminar right this evening. As soon as I get out of here off of the radio, I'm going to be doing that at one of our local libraries for free. Okay, no charge. Because I care. Because our community matters. Because the people matter. You matter to me. And I know right now more than ever, many people are feeling disheartened. Many people just are feeling downtrodden. Many people feel like there is no way to fight back against the evil that is impending and right upon us. But we can. We can. We are strong together. That is why they are trying to divide us, people. Do not be divided. Do not be deceived. They are doing their best to subjugate us all. But united we stand and we can push back. It's not about where you come from. It's about where you're going. And we should all be going down this path together, because I promise you, if we're not, I can hear the trains are coming. And they're right around the bend. And they're going to load people up and they're going to lock them in. So, you guys, we gotta get active right now. Not later now, right now. I've given you your action points. Write your local elected officials, email your local elected officials, call your local elected officials, set up local meetings with your local elected officials. We need to stand up and unite together. Find the family, wherever you are. Find the family that's out there preaching the same gospel that I am in your area, and that are real believers in it, because we need this change to happen. And it's going to take us all getting together and pushing for the same effort to put this boat in the right direction. We are all we got. Nobody's coming out of the clouds to save us, Okay, the Lord is not coming down from heaven to save us. It is our job to stand and occupy until his return. We must stand. We must. And if you do not know the Lord, I encourage you to read the Bible, okay? Especially the New Testament, but you start with the Old Testament. I favor the Old Testament myself, but read the New Testament. The Lord, our Savior, our Father in heaven, he sent his Son. He sent his Son, Jesus Christ, so that we could be able to get more in touch with the Lord himself. He sent Jesus so that we would be able to have the option to be forgiven for our sins. For no man is able to be sinless or blemishless except for Jesus Christ himself. So the Lord, our Savior, Jesus Christ, was sent by the Lord our Father in heaven to redeem us. He sacrificed himself. He gave himself so that we may have the option of eternal life if we would only accept Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior and acknowledge that he died for our sins so that we may be forgiven, and he rose again to help spread the gospel. And I am ever so thankful that I am able to know Jesus Christ. I'm ever so thankful, and I hope any of you listening also know Jesus. And if you haven't had a chance, please look into the Bible. Maybe you can find a local group that is doing church or something like that, or teaching the gospel, and you can learn there more too. But you can always read the Bible on your own. But in order to fight back against the massive evil, one thing that we must have is strength, and we must have unity. And Jesus teaches both of those things. He does, truly so. And he also teaches to stand against the evil at all costs. It is now our time to stand up, speak up, and not shut up. So, as the hymn says, the battle hymn of the Republic, as he died to make men holy, may we die to make men free. Our God is marching on. We must understand that it is only through the strength of the Lord that we can fill the void and the darkness within ourselves. Because there are so many right now that are empty. There are so many right now that feel downtrodden. There are so many that right now that feel hopeless and have succumbed to drugs or alcohol or to other things and other proclivities. But the Lord, Jesus, will help fill that void by connecting you to our Father in heaven. And through that, you can be empowered. And not just that, you can also receive forgiveness for all of the sins that you have made, no matter how bad. Our Father, who art in heaven, is more gracious than anyone ever. Because he is the ultimate, he is the supreme, and he is willing to forgive you. That is why he sent Jesus as the ultimate sacrifice to forgive all of our sins. So please, if you are feeling empty, if you are feeling down, if you are feeling scared, if you are feeling alone, understand that the Lord our Father is always with you. Please seek Jesus and seek the teachings of Jesus so that you may get closer to him. And I pray that for you all. And I'll close with this, you guys. We have to stand strong. We have to get active. If we do not stand strong and we do not get active, nothing will change. We have to be the change that we want to see in this world presently. There is so much evil going on. This is the month of June. We've got, it's turned into a kink debauchery festival of public nudity and people running around with sex toys on their heads and stuff like that. It's absolutely obscene, and they're encouraging genital mutilation of children. And we're being told that this is normal and this is okay. This is the best example that I can give you of stuff that's not okay. That stuff is not okay. Who you lay with in your bedroom, whether I believe it is right or wrong, is your own prerogative, as long as it is not a small child, okay? This is very serious. But people going around in kink garb and stuff like that, waving around sex toys, running around the streets naked, is not okay. It's not okay, but we're being told it's okay. And that's not the only thing. I'm just using that as a great example of things that are not okay. There is so much that's not okay in this world right now, especially in the United States of America, and especially in New York State. We're letting criminals out left and right. That's not okay. That's not okay. They're not able to be held. They get a revolving door. It's not okay. And I know that many of you see what's going on and notice that it's not okay. So if you see that it's not okay and you're not happy with what's going on, it's time to stand up. It's time to get active. I encourage you, get active on the local level. Go out, find a local candidate that you can support. Go out, engage with your elected officials. Like I said, after this, you need to be emailing them about these anti-American jihadists, terrorists, okay? They need to be hearing from you. It's a real deal, and they must be stopped before they grow out of control. So you need to be emailing them, you need to be making a phone call, you need to be setting up a meeting with them. Go engage with your elected officials. That's what I got for you guys, and thank you for listening to this show. This is The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. Tune in next week, 2:30 to 4 p.m. and you'll catch us here. You can catch us on Facebook, YouTube. Follow me, the Marcus C. Williams channel on YouTube, Rumble. Follow me on X, Marcus, the number 4 ROC. Also, it's the same thing on Instagram, Marcus, the number 4 ROC. And you guys, we got to get the message out there. We got to get people active. That's my message for you. And if you're local, you can definitely get involved with my campaign, and that's www.marcus4rochester.com. That's www.marcus4rochester.com. Okay? Pitch in, volunteer, donate. I'll catch you guys later. You guys, be blessed, be well, and remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. I'll catch you later. Be blessed and be well. Catch you guys later.
WRFZ Rochester. The opinions on this program do not necessarily reflect those of Rochester Free Radio.